That's really cute.
All right, we're live.
I hereby call to order the December 17, 2024 meeting of the Milwaukee Area Technical College District Board. Would you please call the roll?
Director Baker,
Here.
Director Burris,
Present.
Director Case,
Here.
Director Foley,
Here.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Here.
Director Moore Mukunde,
Here.
Director Najib,
Here.
Director Owen Moore,
Here.
Director Pence.
Here. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are in compliance.
We have four people registered to speak as public commentators to provide public comments. It looks like the topics are similar but different. Let's start with Carlos Aranda. Aranda, if you'd come up to the chair. While you're doing that, I'm going to read our standard policy. Board policy A0107 states that no person may speak more than once to an issue or for a period longer than 5 minutes, except upon the consent of a majority of the district board. No more than 3 people may be heard to one side of an issue, except upon the consent of a majority of the district board. Negative public comments identifying specific personnel via name or position are not appropriate for presentation to the board in public session. Thank you for coming to the board.
Thank you. My name is Carlos Aranda. I'm a licensed professional counselor with over 25 years of experience at MATC. And I'm also a member of LUNA, the employee resource group representing Latinos employees here at MATC. I have a list of 4 concerns. Number 1, there is an employee, a female Hispanic, who was working at Educational Center at Walker Square, who was removed from that location and was sent to the downtown campus. And we think this is because of retaliation. This employee is suffering right now. All of this affect her mental health and well-being. So I respectfully request that this employee be assigned to her previous position at Walker Square as soon as possible because of the discrimination and retaliation that she experienced. I request the support of the new dean of Walker Square and ICC, the president of MATC on this case, but I did not receive any answer to this problem. And number 2 is about flexible work arrangement. The interim vice president of the DI has prohibited employees, most of them are female employees, women of color, to receive a flexible work arrangement, raising a significant DI issue that requires immediate investigation. It is crucial that flexible work arrangement are applied the same across teams with similar roles to align with MATC value. This issue must be truly investigated. Okay, this is a DI issue that needs to be investigated. Number 3, unethical practice of termination employment. MATC eliminates a specific position to terminate an employee instead of transferring the employee to a new position. This has been happening more often in the last 2 years at MATC, and I want the MATC board to investigate these practices grounded in discrimination and retaliation. So what happened with the money? Why does the employee is not transferred to another position? Why the employee is terminated instead of giving them the opportunity to be transferred? So I want this to be investigated as soon as possible. Part-time faculty, this is my last one. Many part-time faculty are eager to transition to full-time position, but feel discriminated against and bullied by administrator and the interview committee. As a result, several chosen to leave MATC rather than wait. Additionally, MATC has hired individuals with less experience, some who did not meet the requirements, required qualification to teach. And we have proof of that. The college must set a higher standards of ethical leadership that ensures all individuals are treated fairly and respectfully. MATC has the opportunity and the obligation to correct these mistakes and create a safe environment. Delayed actions only perpetuate harm. We ask you to act now to uphold the integrity and values that this institution claims to represent.
Thank you. Next is Stephen, I'm sorry, is it Millet? Millet? Millet, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy holidays. My name is Stephen Millett. I am facilities manager at Oak Creek. I'm also co-chair of African American Affinity Network. Dear members of the board, on behalf of the African American Network at Milwaukee Area Technical College, we are writing to address ongoing concerns impacting Black and Brown employees that remain unaddressed. While we recognize that the current president is not responsible for the failures of the past, he now bears the responsibility to ensure these harmful practices cease, that MATC move forward in a more inclusive, equitable, and transparent direction. Unacknowledged concerns. In the first month of your tenure, AAN reached out to bring attention to inappropriate, harmful treatment of Black and Brown employees. While your response referenced restorative justice, we have yet to see any concrete acknowledgement of our lived experience or the suffering endured. This lack of action has allowed these harmful behaviors to persist unchecked under the leadership of individuals within your cabinet. Observations of leadership behavior. Since your arrival, we have witnessed the consolidation of power by senior leaders who have received promotions, salary increases, and the ability to restructure the college in a way that appears retaliatory toward those who have filed complaints or support others in doing so. Recognition of the president's commitment. We appreciate the president's acknowledgement of these systematic concerns in his 100-day address, where he introduced a 3-point plan aimed at improving MATC's culture operation. This plan includes focus on We Care standards, implementing restorative justice practices, and reviewing the current HR structure. It is important to highlight that the AAN and Luna played an instrumental role in bringing restorative justice practice to fruition under the past presidential leadership and board's intervention. While these initiatives represent positive opportunities for growth, they require more collaboration, intentionality, and direct engagement with the stakeholders like AAN to address the original issues and ongoing concerns. Lack of progress and engagement. Despite these promising steps, we remain deeply concerned about the exclusion of AAN and Luna from meaningful communication and collaborative efforts. Specifically, AAN has been excluded from meet and greets and genuine dialogue to share our lived experience and propose solutions. Leaders responsible for divisive, retaliatory action remain in positions of power, consolidating their influence without accountability. Alternative affinity groups have been sponsored and promoted, undermining the original purpose of AAN and perpetuating harm. Our request for immediate action to rebuild trust and ensure a path forward, AAN formally requests the following: commitment to independent investigation, initiate an independent external investigation into human resources, labor relation cases involving allegations and discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Genuine collaboration engagement. Establish a formal meeting between AAN senior leadership and the president to provide a platform to share experiences, transparency, and actionable solutions. Equitable oversight for HR and leadership practices. Conduct a third party conduct a third-party audit in hiring and including AAN in Luna in the process, an HR consulting decision, and open records procedure to ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability across all levels of leadership. Looking toward the future, while we recognize the president's efforts to lay the foundation for progress, there remains a critical need for intentional collaboration with AAN and other key stakeholders. Acknowledging the lived experience of Black and Brown employees is essential for moving MATC forward as an institution that values equity, justice, and inclusion. We urge the Board of Trustees to support the president in prioritizing these actions, ensuring the work done under his leadership fosters healing, accountability, and meaningful change. Attached is our original communication with President Cruz as further content of our concern and recommendations.
30 seconds.
We look forward to the response that demonstrates a commitment to addressing these systematic issues with urgency and integrity. Sincerely, African American Network and Milwaukee Area Technical College. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Patricia Gomez. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Gomez, and I am the producer, director, and host of the Latino Spanish English bilingual show Adelante at Milwaukee PBS. I am here to advocate not only for myself, but also for all those who are facing harassment, retaliation, and discrimination within MATC and Milwaukee PBS. Together, we can seek for a better future of our students, employees, and the entire community. As a follow-up to my previous presentation before this board, I feel compelled to share my personal experience and perspective on the ongoing issues at MATC and Milwaukee PBS. For years, I have witnessed and personally endured a culture of discrimination, retaliation, and harassments that persist despite multiple attempts to bring these issues to light. As I previously shared, Carlos Aranda and I met with the president of MATC on October 18 as the leader of this institution. During this meeting, we presented evidence of numerous instances of employee mistreatment. However, it seems that the president's office continues to support administrators who perpetuate this toxic culture. To this day, more employees continue to come forward, revealing the unlawful practices they are being subjected to under their supervisors. A culture of oppression. The administration at MATC has long favored individuals who are easily manipulated over those who are most qualified for key positions. This favoritism has fostered a system where those who are unqualified, unprepared, and hostile are given influence. Many individuals have been promoted not for their expertise or integrity, but because they align with the personal interest of those in power. This has led to a cycle of oppression, disrespect, and chaos, not just at MATC, but also at Milwaukee PBS. The appearances of change, but not action. Although MATC has hired external firms to address these issues, these investigations are often manipulated, resulting in little or no meaningful change. These companies are paid substantial amounts to produce reports that serve to support the administration's narrative rather than acknowledging the real problems within the institution. It is disheartening to see that. Despite clear evidence of systemic abuse, the president's office continued to promote an image of change that exists only in press releases and social media posts, rather than in the real-world experiences of students and employees. The reality is that MATC and Milwaukee PBS have become places where many individuals, including myself, have been victims of discrimination, retaliation, and exploitation. We have brought these issues to light time and time again, yet they remain unresolved. The systemic problems within MATC are ignored, allowing administrators to continue abusing power. The personal toll. I am currently in an action plan, an ordeal typically reserved for employees who are neglecting their work. Yet, I have consistently demonstrated my dedication and excellence in my role. The unclear and unjust conditions surrounding this action plan only accentuate the levels of injustice practiced by past and present administrations. There is no doubt that this is retaliation because of my advocacy for DEI principles at MATC. However, nothing has been done to stop the harassment or to hold those responsible accountable. A call for accountability. The administrators, supported by the President's office, lack both the integrity and the skills needed to lead an institution that serves its diverse community. The taxpayers, all African American, Latino, Asian, and Caucasian, deserve better. They fund this institution with expectations that it will serve the needs of all its stakeholders, not just those in positions of power. MATC should be a place of transparency, fairness, and opportunity, but instead, it has become a place where the truth is obscure and injustice thrives. Moving forward,
30 seconds.
I call upon you, the MATC Board of Directors, to take responsibility for the culture of fear and oppression that has been allowed to flourish within this institution. It is your duty to protect the students, employees, and community who rely on MATC. Acknowledge the harm that has been done and take concrete steps to address this problem. It is crucial to protect the taxpayers' money that is being wasted by this group of self-serving administrators. It is worth nothing that MATC is currently involved in numerous lawsuits, with the institution's legal team being paid by taxpayers. These attorneys are simply working to cover up unlawful practices. It is clear that the MATC administration does not care about this misuse of taxpayer money. I am formally requesting an investigation into the number of lawsuits and the amount of public funds being spent on unethical and unlawful practices. It is time to stop pretending and start acting. Thank you.
Thank you. And last tonight is Jennifer Wade.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Jenny Wade, and I've worked at MATC for nearly 13 years. I hold 2 master's degrees, one in higher education administration and the other in library science, in addition to a post-bac paralegal degree and a post-bac death investigation degree. I've worked very hard to advance in my field, to develop my skills, and to contribute meaningfully to the institution I am proud to be a part of. However, despite my qualifications, my experience, and my dedication, I have faced an ongoing challenge through discrimination. As an out gay woman and a whistleblower to the dire problems looming over my current department, I am continually passed over for any and all promotions. In those 13 years, I've applied 60 times, that's 60, for promotional opportunities with none. You might think that after 60 attempts, there must be a reason. In fact, Human Resources has claimed that I did once receive a promotion. However, in reality, it was me fighting for 5 years for advocating for the correct job title that I was working in, where MATC finally admitted to making an error, and only then did I receive minimal back pay and an apology. This wasn't a promotion, it was MATC rectifying a mistake. There will soon be 2 full-time positions in my department that I am more than qualified for. As far as I know, I also have the support of all my other colleagues to be promoted. The continued failure to promote me to these roles is not just disappointing, it is clear discrimination. Over the years, my reviews have been stellar. I have always received pay raises. I have always been told that I am an asset to the department, to the students, to MATC. So why then, after all of this, have I not been given the opportunities I've earned? A few years ago, there were 4 part-time positions available within my department, and I was the only internal candidate. It seemed like a guarantee that one of these positions would be mine. But instead, MATC hired 4 people from the outside the institution, people who had no internal experience. And now those very people are passing me up for the full-time positions that I have been more than qualified for. Currently, I have a manager who goes rogue, seemingly with a personal vendetta against me, and it becomes clear that no matter how qualified I am, I will never see those opportunities. The ongoing discrimination I have faced at MATC has taken a tremendous toll on me. My character has been hurt, my confidence shaken, and my mental health suffers. There are days when the weight of being continually overlooked, despite my dedication and qualifications, feels almost unbearable. My physical health has also suffered. The stress, the anxiety, the constant disappointment, all of it takes a toll on the body. And yet, despite all of this, I keep going day after day, week after week, and year after year. I continue to show up. I am still here, working hard, giving my all to the students and my colleagues, and pushing through the pain and frustration. No matter how many times MATC has disappointed me, no matter how many times I've been kicked down, I am still here. But it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't take so much personal sacrifice just to have the opportunity to advance. The work I do is important, and I know that the work I've contributed over the years has made a difference. But I also know that there are others, too many others, who are in the same situation, stuck, overlooked, and passed over for reasons that have nothing to do with their qualifications or worth. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for addressing the board and sharing your concerns. The board will not be responding to any matter in adherence to the state of Wisconsin open meetings law, which prevents a governmental body from discussing any specific item that was not publicly noticed on the agenda. Our next agenda item is approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting of November 25, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Director Case and a second by Director Burris. Any discussion? Seeing none, would all those in favor of approval of the minutes as submitted indicate that by saying aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is the approval of consent agenda items. May I have a motion for approval of all the consent agenda items?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Director Baker and a second by Director Case. Are there any items from the November bills that need to be pulled out of the consent agenda item? Seeing none, are there any other requests to pull items from the consent agenda to be dealt with separately? Director Baker?
Yeah, I have a question on the HR report.
Yeah, let me just get the lay of the land here. I'll come back to you in just a minute. Are there any, I want to find out if there are any other items. Okay, Director Baker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I just had a question about the building your professional brand series that we're doing. I mean, if someone, it's new and, is this meant to help people in promotion, in applying? It sounds a little bit like I'm
So
helping
what is
people
it?
apply for a job someplace else. You know, it's like how to write your resume and whatever. So yeah, if somebody could just help explain that purpose. Because it talks about
Sure.
how we recruit and understanding our recruitment.
Do we have anyone here that's able to do that?
Oh, perhaps then someone could respond at a later date.
Okay, sorry.
It does not require any, we're not approving anything for it. It was informational, so perhaps someone could.
Definitely, we'll get you a
Thanks.
response to that. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay. Since there were no other requests to remove items from the consent agenda item, we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda items by Director Baker with a second by Director Case. Would all those in favor indicate that by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda items are approved. Next, our board action items. First is resolution F0343-12-24, authorizing the sale of $1.5 million in general obligation promissory notes, series 2024-2025G of Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of board action item 5A.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think Director Moro Mukundi was first to the barricades.
Did you just say more Omakunde?
Mukundi Moore, I did just say. Mukundi.
I'm both got it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Mr. Fisher, you're already at the end of the table. Please tell us what happened at the auction this morning.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. So final sale of the calendar year. So this is 2024-2025. Went out for the sale this morning, and it's about the last week for real action in the public market. And it was nice to see that we still received 5 bids. Interest rates from last month to this month, have gone up a little bit. On our last sale, we received a 2.92%. This sale received a 3.07%. So slightly higher from last month. And, the Fed is meeting tomorrow to make a decision on their interest rates. It's expected a 0.25% potential reduction in the rate. But again, that's more focused on short-term rates. And, since they've started this reduction in rates, we've actually seen rates kind of really be volatile. Not only short-term, but long-term rates. So I would anticipate over the next several months, it's going to continue to remain volatile as decisions are made at 11. So if we go to page 3, this is the summary, general obligation promissory note, series 2024-25G, the amount of $1,500,000. This one will close January 7th of 2025. Maturities in June 1, 2026 to 29, with the first interest payment being June 1 of 2025. Non-callable. Moody's did affirm the AA1 bond credit rating, and again 3.707% by Fidelity Capital Markets. Next page is the long-term financing plan. Just updated it with the final results of today's sale. Everything continues to look on track and be on target. So everything continues to look good there. The last couple of pages is the Moody's rating report. Really nothing's changed here besides the amount of debt that it lists in the first paragraph. So with that, I'll entertain any questions if there are.
Any questions from the directors in the room? Any questions from the directors online? What am I missing here? There we go. Okay. We have a motion by Director Baker and a second by Director Moro Mukundi. Would you please call the roll?
Director Burris?
Aye.
Aye. Director Mendieta Ramos?
Aye.
Director Moro Mukunde?
Aye.
Director Najib?
Aye.
Director Owen Moore?
Aye.
Aye.
Director Baker?
Aye.
Director Foley?
Aye. Resolution passes. Next is resolution F0344-12-24, authorizing the issuance of $1.5 million in general obligation promissory notes, series 2024-2025H of Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin. This is item 5B. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Case, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll take the second from Director Owen Moore. Are there any questions about this resolution? Seeing none, would you please take the roll?
Director Case?
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos?
Aye.
Director Moro Mukunde?
Aye.
Director Najib?
Aye.
Director Owen Moore?
Aye.
Director Pence?
Aye.
Director Baker?
Aye.
Director Burris,
Aye.
Aye, resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Have a great holiday.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Next, on the agenda is action item 5C, resolution F 345 12 24 to approve the comprehensive annual financial report. And I believe, Mr. Paul France will be coming up to speak with us about this in the room. There we go. Welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. We have completed our financial audit and have issued an unmodified opinion, also known as a clean bill of health. So when you hire an external auditor. the outcome-
Just for the people watching online, would
course.
you tell us who we is?
Thank you. Sorry. Again, my name is Paul France. I'm a principal at Baker Tilly here in Milwaukee, and we are the external auditors for the district.
Thank you.
And we've issued an unmodified opinion, also known as the clean bill of health, on your financial statements that we worked with management to compile throughout the audit process. Received nothing but cooperation throughout the audit process from Eva, Sue, and their supporting team. And again, like I alluded, when you hire an external auditor, the outcome that you're looking to hear.
I should have asked for a motion to approve before we did that. So I'm going to take a step backward and ask if there is a board member who would move approval of the resolution to approve the comprehensive annual financial report. Aye. Director Pence, is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Najib? Thank you. Are there, now that we've had the explanation, and we have a motion and a second, are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Director Najib, go ahead.
Yeah, could you explain to us what are you auditing in specific?
Yeah.
Is it the income, the expenses, the what's happening? What exactly the audit for?
Yeah, no, good question. So the first one that we're talking about relates to the balance sheet and income statement of the district. So assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenses for the last fiscal year that ended June 30, 2024. And so as part of that process, we meet with the audit committee, discuss our audit plan, take their feedback. We meet with them both in May, which is the planning meeting, and a conclusion meeting in November to provide more details around that. But ultimately, it encompasses anything that you see within the comprehensive annual financial report, which are financial numbers, related footnote disclosures that are all required under the accounting principles that the district must follow.
So who do we answer to if so we have those financial statement right now, we approved it, but who do we answer for? Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, so the reason ultimately you have an audit are for users who might be interested in the financial numbers of the district, which would be, very similar to what you just did in going out to market for borrowings, providing an assurance to those bondholders that there are strong financial controls and good financial data that both the governing body is reviewing, that management is providing, and ultimately that they can rely on.
So we get some taxes, also it's funding the MATC. So do we answer to any governmental agency who oversees our financial report, or just the board and stopped by the board?
Yes, so there are aspects of the audit that are also on the agenda tonight around federal and state grants. And we do compliance work around those dollars and how they're spent and the related controls that are in place for those. So yes, it is greater than just the debt and ultimately the bondholders that I described. But in relation to the comprehensive annual financial report, that is the strong basis as far as why.
Thank you.
Questions? Anyone else online? I see none. Questions from any other board member in the room? All right, we have a motion by
Can I-
Director Baker.
So what historically used to be called the management letter.
Sure.
As a part of this is now, is that the auditor's communication?
Yeah.
Is that what that is now? Okay.
Yep, yeah, it'll be labeled, and I do believe you has either provided you PDF copies or we'll
Yes.
have hard copies for you. It's labeled reporting insights,
Right.
and responsibilities,
Okay, thank you.
of course.
All right, just to be clear, the motion and the second and the vote I'm about to ask for relates only to item 5C, resolution FO 345-12-24. We will get to the others in sequence. Any more questions before we take a vote on item 5C? Right, we have a motion and a second. We do not need a roll call for this. All those in favor, please indicate that by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. Next is resolution F 346-12-24 to approve the single audit report. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Case,
Second.
was that Director Burris? Thank you for the second. All right, tell us about this.
Yes, so in addition to the financial audit, we also did what's called a single audit. Anytime an entity receives and expends more than $750,000 in federal grant dollars within a fiscal period, you're required to have a single audit on the federal side. And because we're located in Wisconsin, anytime that you have a federal single audit, you also have a state single audit.
Oh.
So ultimately, we obtain and review all the expenditures and grants that were received. We determine based off of thresholds, what programs need to be tested in detail, and ultimately navigate through for the compliance requirements that exist in relation to the entities that provided the grant dollars to the district. Happy to say that we've issued also an unmodified opinion over this work. We did have one compliance finding related to some title money that was returned after a window of time.
Let's clarify for everyone here what title money that was returned
Sure.
is referring to.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, and it's title 4.
Okay, so Title IV, tell us, we've got a lot of people listening on
Sure.
the streaming service. So what is this about?
Yes, so there's a requirement from the entity that provides the funds that any overages be provided back within a 45-day window as part of our testing. And we don't test every transaction through the compliance stuff, but we do select a sample, and I believe the sample was of 15, and of those 15, 10 happened after the 45-day window. And so we have to call that out as ultimately a finding. The money was provided back, just not within the required amount of time. And as part of our process management, now we'll be working through to address and move forward appropriately to be in line with that
Director Baker.
And Title IV is financial aid for students, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So, and this is addressed with that department.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments about item 5D?
So we have extra money and we had to return it in financial aid.
There were elements of what was determined when money was originally applied for that upon final calculation determined that too much in certain instances were received and therefore needed to be provided back. Not unusual. You go through the preliminary process to, and they ultimately want to keep the process of funds flowing to keep operations moving. And there is just a correction that needs to take place. And if they didn't draw a line in the sand, not everybody would move as necessary.
Any other questions from the directors online? Any other questions from the directors in the room? I'm sorry, Director Penn.
Could you find a reason why it wasn't returned on time?
More or less there was not a good check and balances for monitoring the window of time. And so when I talk about management, addressing and building procedures and controls around that, when these compliance issues come to light through our testing, we work with them to determine a new process that should be considered. And as part of our future audits, we will test and confirm if that procedure and control has been in place and it's functioning, and if it's not, we'll have a repeat finding in the future.
Any further questions in the room? Director Baker?
But at this point, you're feeling confident
Yep.
that, that necessary changes are apparent and can easily be adopted.
Yeah, no, again, management's been very open to, the dialogue around doing things differently. I will stress, this is not an unusual finding for us to identify.
Mhm.
And most importantly, the money is returned, and we're talking probably 15 days worth of time being passed. And so it's a small tweak in the process. Sometimes that'll kick out through turnover. Doesn't mean that the process or control wasn't there in the past, but you get new people involved in it, and some of the nuances of understanding the why in the control just don't apply as quickly.
Thank you. Of course.
Any other questions in the room? Any other questions online? We have a motion by Director Case and a second by Director Burris to approve resolution, item 5D, resolution F0346-12-24 to approve the single audit report. Would all those in favor indicate that by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Resolution passes. Next on the agenda is item 5E, resolution F0347-12-24 to approve the auditor's communication. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Director Baker. Second, Director Pence, thank you. Would you tell us about this quickly?
Yeah, so this document would be describing our audit process, our responsibilities, management's responsibilities in there. It will lay out what our audit plan was, and if we had determined things that we needed to do differently throughout the process, it would be noted in there. We begin with a risk-based audit approach when looking at our clients, looking for areas of weakness, and then ultimately building audit procedures around that. And we do that by looking at the significant transaction cycles. How do you pay bills? How do you pay payroll? How do you collect cash? And while we don't opine on the internal controls of the entities that we're auditing, if there were areas of concern through that risk assessment, we would provide recommendations. And I'm happy to note that there was nothing in those significant transaction cycles that made us have to change our audit plan or identify a risk that we didn't expect to see. So there were no communications within this document describing improvements, and there would have been had we identified any. Additionally, we have some sections in there related to required communications that we need to have with you as a governing body. List out any new accounting principles that we adopted with management during the past year. We list out the accounting estimates that were included in the financial reports that we discussed earlier. All estimates were clear, neutral, and non-biased, meaning ultimately, again, the ones that management identified and provided to us were appropriate to be included within the report. Had we had any difficulties with management, they'd be noted in here. And truthfully, had we had any difficulties, you would have heard about them long before receiving a document or hearing this presentation. The audit went as planned. You had turnover within key financial positions. It was as smooth as it could have been in that, and certainly, speaks to the level of effort that Eva and Sue and all their support people put into the process. We didn't come across material journal entries, which means the financial information that you're seeing on a monthly basis is sound and you can make decisions on, which again, I can't say for every client that I work on. And so again, a lot of chaos that could have gone wrong. Happy to say it didn't. Lastly, I list out any non-attest services that we provided, so non-audit services. Why that's important is at the end of the day, in order to give you the opinions that I've discussed, I have to be able to determine that we are independent from the district in the services that we provided outside of audit services, which I'm happy to say we were.
Any questions from the directors online?
Yes.
Director Najib?
So those we approving the auditors' communication, those the outside external auditors, right?
Correct. I am an external auditor that is the firm is hired.
Yeah.
Provide outside of
So if we find any issue, who do you report it to directly?
we work for you. And ultimately.
For the board.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You as the governing body and the audit committee.
Any other questions from the board members online? Any further questions, Director Pence?
Anything we can do better next time?
It's a good question. Nothing that I would say needs to be discussed in a broad setting. You know, I think again, from a governance standpoint, making sure that you are diligently looking at what's provided and asking the hard questions, if it's not something that you expect to see. Areas where you see turnover, or aging individuals, make sure that you're looking at, you know, plans of succession and reassessment of controls if there's unexpected turnover. You know, that's when I think about my client base and where I see things go wrong, it's the entities that didn't have a plan in place for that. So those would be the things.
Any other questions, Director Baker?
If I could just make a comment that, you know, I asked that question because the management letter is always the first thing I look at, because it generally says, ooh, this went wrong, or, oh, you know, I like you guys, but you need to do a little of this. And so looking at that and seeing what you just said gives me quite a bit of confidence. How you guys have been auditing us for a long time and a lot of our peer organizations. And, you know, for my colleagues, you know, it's a good place to get an overview of what it is they do, because it says all of the pieces that they look at, what they look at, and then it says, hey, here's like the highlights, and yeah, you have reasonable actions that you're doing in all these areas. So it's kind of a nice overview if sometimes looking at the whole audit is a bit overwhelming for people.
And to that point, if there's something that you are interested or concerned about that you don't see within that letter, my contact information is in there, and there is a paragraph in there that talks about when I need to know that information. At the end of the day, we do work for you guys. And if there are areas of concern, I would happily take that into account as we build out our audit plan and report back.
And I would ask that those be sent to me so we can compile them if there's more than one and make sure we're getting them all to the right place. All right, we have a motion to approve by Director Baker and a second by Director Pence. This is for item 5E, the resolution FO 347-12-24 to approve the auditor's communication. Would all those in favor indicate that by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Mr. France.
Thank you
Appreciate
for your time.
Thank you.
Next is item 5F, resolution F0348-12-24 to approve the proposed program titled Community Health Worker Apprenticeship. David Stewart and Dr. Philip King, please.
Do we need approval for it?
You're absolutely right. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 5F.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Najib. Is there a second? Is there a second to
Oh,
approve?
I'll second.
Director Baker, thank you. All right, Mr. Stewart.
All right, thank you. Those that I haven't met yet, and anyone listening in, I'm Dave Stewart, Director of Apprenticeships and Special Projects for the college. Today, I'd like to ask for approval for Community Health Worker Apprenticeship. This is a exciting opportunity. It represents an opportunity to expand our apprenticeship offerings in an emerging sector. This one falls within the healthcare industry. It has a tremendous amount of demand. Currently, we're already sitting at 22 contracts with the Bureau of Apprenticeships for a pilot cohort. We have many contracts underway for continuing this, should you approve it. The community health worker is somebody who represents a frontline worker, kind of a liaison between underserved populations and community services, healthcare needs, nutrition advocacy, that sort of thing. It is building on a proven model for the college of, instead of developing an entirely new set of curriculum, we are using existing associate degree level courses to constitute the paid related instruction of this, which will also allow individuals to not see an apprenticeship just as a a single pathway of education, but there is the potential then to continue on and earn an associate's degree in this field as well, which then can continue on to other things. Other highlights that I'd like to point out is the Bureau, working with many community stakeholders, has a tremendous amount of support with this. The lead faculty for the Community Health and Nutrition Navigator program, Melissa Denomi, did a fabulous job working with the Bureau and the stakeholders to create or select the curriculum, but also went through the additional work of making those courses available online. So within those 22 contracts, we are going to be the pioneer for this apprenticeship, meaning we have contracts from areas of La Crosse, Oshkosh, Madison, a lot within Milwaukee. Again, there's obviously a tremendous demand for this.
Any questions from the directors in the room? Any questions from the directors online? Dr. Najib?
Yeah, I really need a little bit more explanation. Are these like courses we submitted and the community organization benefit from it, or we go after community organization and our student benefit from it?
Both.
Well,
So the coursework, like I said, is within the associate's degree program. All right. So they are existing courses that a student following a traditional educational model, go to school, then go find work. The apprenticeship turns that on its head, says, let's start with the job and we'll send you to school. Kind of grow your own, earn while you learn. The demand for this largely came from the community-based organization sector. YMCA, for example, is a big one in the Milwaukee area. There's some tribal organizations up around the La Crosse area that have interest in this as well. So the demand for it really came from the CBO sector in terms of this apprenticeship, but it's been a longstanding program for MATC.
that's wonderful.
Any other questions or comments from the directors online? Any more in the room? Director Baker?
Just one quick thing.
Yeah.
It would be good at some point, and it doesn't have to be now, pretty much what we got to review this was all of the labor market information, which is
Sure.
interesting.
Mhm.
It would have been great to see some of that additional information, about, I didn't realize that we had all the courses.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I will have that in my next one.
thanks.
Good.
All right, we have a motion by Director Najib and a second by Director Baker for item 5F, resolution F0348-12-24. This does not require a roll call vote, so all in favor, please indicate that by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item is number 6 on the agenda, policy reviews. These are reviews, not approvals. So this is the time to ask questions that can be answered before we have to take a vote on it. First is policy G0300, safety and security. And our general counsel, Sherry Terrell Webb, will tell us all about it.
So this policy is, well, good afternoon, good evening first. G0300 is our safety and security policy. And the primary changes are who can authorize the carrying of specific equipment for the campuses and our public safety officers.
When you say specific equipment, what are you talking about?
Primarily the weapons they carry, for lack of a better term. If they were to carry tasers, if they were to carry whatever new technology are out there. And specifically in this policy, you will note that firearms are strictly prohibited. And that references back to the other policy, which is G0301-1.
Any questions from the directors in the room about just policy G0300 to start? Director Baker.
Sorry, I'm sort of chatty today. I'm a little uncomfortable with the language in the paragraph that starts notwithstanding. The authorization for our public safety officers to carry any kind of weapon, that authorization is always rested with the board of directors, not with the general counsel's office. So I'm a little uncomfortable with moving that. There was
That
consider.
was, I'm sorry, that was what was in the policy before.
Oh,
We just, that was already there.
okay, well, I guess I never looked at it, so.
Mm.
There was considerable debate and discussion about this in years past, and so. I guess I'd like to see this, the language then clarified or changed so that so that essentially, if someone is going to make a decision that public safety officers at MATC should be armed in some way, that would be a decision that would rest with the board of directors, not with anyone below the board of directors.
Let me, if I may, just draw a little more information out from you
Absolutely.
about this. When you say the policy used to provide that authority had to come from the board of directors, was there an exception for exigent circumstances, emergencies of some sort? I mean, we're not real good at convening the entire board to make a decision of that kind on very short notice. Was there an exception for that under the old policy, or what was the discussion around that?
Yeah, clearly I'm not well informed on the old policy since you just told me it says something I didn't know it said. So
Okay.
I won't pretend to be an expert on that. The discussion was in relatively intense for a period of time about whether our officers would be armed with firearms. And it was the board's decision that they would not be for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is the Milwaukee Police Department is as close to us as most campus police forces are. And there was no discussion about arming people in an emergency situation, again, because of the existence of the Milwaukee Police Department. So that's my recollection of it, but that it was a discussion, very involved discussion for quite a period of time at the board level.
Director Case?
So two clarifications. One, this policy says firearms are not allowed. So to me, that reads that the people named in this cannot approve firearms
Cannot
to be.
authorize.
So it'd only be like something outside of that.
Tasers or whatever else, anything short of firearm.
Then my other question is, it seems that it's an update based on title only.
Yes.
Do we want to be a little bit more general in how we say that? Otherwise, we're going to be updating policies every time somebody has a title change.
Yes.
I just don't know if that's a good practice to be in, that we have to then update and go through every single policy every time a key person has a title change. So I'm just wondering if there's a way that we could say this in a way that doesn't require you get a added on department in your title changes. Now we have to go back in and update it because you're no longer authorized by the policy.
One
So-
thing I've suggested is that we go to a board update on the policies that are updated and what the language change was
Okay.
for things like this.
Yeah, just because otherwise, I mean, I think it doesn't make sense for anybody's time to be updating every policy every time somebody, an org change happens or a title change happens. So if there's a way we can be a little bit more general without giving unauthorized people the ability to approve things, that might be something to consider.
Any other comments from directors in the room?
So if I could just, so I do know that firearms are strictly prohibited. I just think that that language kind of leaves it open that it says notwithstanding any other policies, the general counsel or college president's designee can authorize carrying such equipment. So to me, it kind of leaves that door open, not like I see anything happening right now, but I would just like that a little clearer.
So are you saying that you want to add no firearms to that policy?
It says,
It
it's
says-
in
no
the
firearm.
policy,
It is.
but the line right before it says what the general counsel can it says, notwithstanding all other policies, the general counsel can, recommend or can authorize carrying other equipment.
I can reword it.
Hmm?
So what was the intent of that?
The intent was that,
That line, If it,
The intent was that anything short, because of the last sentence, is anything short of a firearm, the general counsel or the designee can authorize.
Do that.
And, okay.
Do that.
Yeah, the notwithstanding needs to go at the last line. not
Right,
the
not
second
at the
last line.
beginning.
Perfect. Yeah, do that, and I'm much calmer.
Any questions or comments from directors online?
Yes, please.
Director, I'm gonna go to Director Burris first. I'll be back to you, Dr. Najib.
Thank you. All I heard was tasers. What other weapons or items would we be considering here?
Nothing else that I know of. Nothing else has come to my desk to consider or look at.
So can language say tasers rather than just like the loose language? Or if there's some type of change, will you guys come back before the board?
It depends on what it is, but short of tasers, I don't know, and firearms, I don't know what else there is.
Which is a reason not to be that specific because technology changes.
Okay.
And
Well, I get it, but I also don't want our public safety officers walking around with batons either. So I would like, some clarification on what I would be approving. Because that seems like very broad. Are we talking about handcuffs? Like what all things are we talking about?
I have a concern at the moment about getting to that level of detail in a public forum. We probably do not want anyone who might be considering or later engaging in any kind of violent conduct to know exactly what every member of the Public Safety Commission or Public Safety Force does and does not carry. So the comment is that Director Burris wants to know more about what is authorized or may be authorized. Let's see if we can answer that question before the next board meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
we can discuss it however she wants to do it.
Anything else, Director Burris?
No.
Dr. Najib?
Thank you. I have also a concern about the paragraph before this paragraph. The board supports the concept that MATC, public safety officers, be given the authority to exert the necessary measures in maintaining conditions conducive to individual safety and security of property in MATC. So could you explain it, what this means? Because that means we're giving full authority to the public safety officers to do whatever they think needed. So this way we'll ignore all kind of policies than before if they're gonna make decisions themselves. Could you explain it a little bit more?
As public safety officers, they are trained and they will use the force necessary to defend others' lives, their lives, and MATC property.
So it's going to be in accordance to a certain maybe policies or certain set standard, something like to qualify it rather than just leave it up to the individual person, because sometimes you get new people just starting and they might not be aware of certain standards.
Most of our officers are prior law enforcement and they understand what is necessary to.
are they trained?
Yes, they're all trained.
They're all trained in the same manner?
Yes, they
and the
go
same
through
procedures.
extensive training, yes.
So is it possible to just reword it to say authorize per training or per public or per
Yeah.
college policy or something to that reference?
MATC policy.
MATC, to just reference that they are
Yeah.
expected to work within. what
May
the-
I ask why we're referencing property?
Hold on, Director Burris. Are you done?
I'm
Director
done.
Burris?
I was just, the suggestion that might qualify it to
Mhm.
Dr. Najib's.
I agree.
Okay, Director Burris.
The paragraph that Dr. Najib read stated something about property. Why are we referencing protecting of property?
Because
That's what we-
people can
That's
do
part of their
severe
job.
damage to our property and it's public property, so we are responsible for protecting that property.
Can you provide me an example? I think I'm just unclear.
Somebody plants a bomb in the lavatory on the first floor.
Somebody graffitis up the wall.
Breaking of glass.
Breaking of glass.
And
Setting
when we
fire.
when we think
Fires.
when we think minimally, such as like graffiti or something, and we're also asking that we have weapons, that draws concern for me, because I don't want somebody to lose their life or something because they graffitied on a wall. I don't think that is as important as the safety of individuals. When I think of a bomb, I'm thinking we're protecting someone, not a laboratory.
Wouldn't that still reference the training that they were getting?
Yeah, what I think you're questioning is what are they trained to do and not do under what circumstances? And again, I don't think we want to go into that in a public forum. But there are training materials and training standards, and perhaps we need some information before we're asked to approve this policy about that.
Well, I won't drag this out, but I will send follow-up questions.
Director Baker.
Oh, I was gonna actually agree. I think that it might be helpful. We have had reports in the past about our safety and security procedures, and I think it could be very appropriate for us to have a report on our public safety officer, so the board's familiar with the training and background of, the officers, the protocols or whatever. I think all of that is, I don't think any of that is not public information and could help board members feel comfortable with the policies.
Yeah, I don't know if any of it is not public information, but I'll look for some advice from our general counsel or board counsel about that question. But yeah, I think there's some concern about the broadness of the authorization that is delegated without knowing what that really means. So we'll need some information about that.
Sure, I could look at them.
Okay. Anyone else with questions or comments about this policy? There being none, we have, this is not, I'm sorry, I was about to ask for a vote, but we're
No.
not doing a vote. This is a review. Second is the related policy G0301-1 on weapons on MATC property. Again, it's been distributed to everyone. Do we need a summary or are there questions?
Oh,
Director Baker?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
And I'm a little conflicted and I'm just not sure, but so I'm gonna raise it. We talk about, we regulate the possession and carrying of weapons and we use legal definitions of weapons. One of those is pepper spray. And I know a lot of women who carry pepper spray in their purse, especially if they have to be someplace in the evening, someplace downtown. It is not an uncommon urban practice. But on the other hand, I don't know how you draw the line in legal definitions of dangerous weapons. But I am concerned that I would put pepper spray in there and perhaps threaten someone's education because they were fearful of violence against women in certain settings.
Director Pence?
I would agree with that, first of all. Do we have to post no guns allowed in a concealed carry state? Should that be posted around the school?
It is.
It is, okay, I didn't know.
And I don't think that does that generally apply to pepper spray?
Not
Right,
that,
like if
the
I-
posting you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, that would be specific to firearms, correct?
A question to look into perhaps is whether there is a distinction between pepper spray, which is at one particular point of the spectrum on the potential harm to the recipient, shall we say, and bear spray is probably on the other end of that spectrum. There may be a place to draw a line. as to what would be permitted and whatnot. I don't know enough about the subject in general, what other people are doing, or the biology of what I just spoke to with such certainty. I just ask you to consider that. Any other questions from the directors online? Any other questions from the directors here? All right, thank you. Next is policy approval. Item 7A, policy D0402, credit for prior learning and experience. Is there a motion to approve? Director Case, is there a second?
A second.
Director Baker, thank you. Dr. Wang? Would you come on up and tell us about this? Or are you surprised that I'm asking you to do this? Is there someone else you would like to delegate to answer?
Good, yes, I know it's on the agenda. So, yeah, I guess I'm here just to see if you have any questions.
Any questions from board members online? None? Any questions from the board members in the room? There being none, we have a motion by Director Case, second by Director Baker. Would all those in favor indicate that by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Director Burris, you're on mute.
Aye.
And Director Moore Omakundi, you are also on mute if you're there.
That's it, aye.
Okay, any opposed? There being none, the resolution passes. You should volunteer more often.
Easiest one of the day.
Next are reports. Unless there is an objection, I'm going to ask Director Cruz to go first today. You have an appointment at 6 that you're an event we're trying to get you to. I want to make sure that you do. So why don't you go first?
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, this is a great time to be here at the college. We just went through our commencement ceremony this Saturday, and we had 1,000 students graduate. And I think the chair will be talking a little bit more about that. But I just wanted to say a big thanks to the commencement committee and everybody that volunteered. We had, I think, like 80 people volunteer for the commencement to make sure that it went off the way it did. So congratulations to all the graduates. Currently, looking at spring enrollment, we are currently up 9% higher than we were last year at the same time, and also 7.5% higher than our actual goal. So we're doing very well when it comes to registration enrollment for our spring semester. Various things have happened this month so far. I just wanted to go over and highlight a few of them that I think are important. First, we had a very generous donation from Design Air. On December 4th, the college received a donation of 6 Rheem heating and cooling systems featuring advanced HVAC technology from Design Air, a local distributor and wholesale supplier specializing in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. This donation will have significant impact, benefiting about 150 students per semester in that program. So I think it's a great donation and a great thing for our students. On December 10th, we had a student listening session. That listening session took place here at the downtown campus, and really was focused on getting students to share information, questions they have, and perspectives on the recent elections, and also on the topic of immigration. Additionally, there was a community resource fair that was held at Walker Square, where 77 students attended, received guidance and support in addressing current challenges that they may be facing. We also had a really interesting thing that the recruitment team came up with. I don't know when exactly, maybe it was last semester, something called pop-up community events, recruitment events. And there was one on December 12th. I was actually there with them that evening, and this took place at the West Allis Library. And that's in collaboration with our district student association. So thank you very much for the cooperation on that. There was a toy drive, I believe, right? And so those who attended not only received great information about how to enroll at the college, but they also got to take away, the kids that were there were able to receive some gifts as well for the holiday season. So I want to thank our students for helping with that and also thanks to our recruitment team for their endless efforts on trying to make sure that we're making ourselves open to the entire community by actually going out into the community and providing those opportunities. Just yesterday, I had the college celebrated the graduation of 7 students who earned their welding certificate through our Second Chance Pell program. Was a really nice event. This is MATC was the first college in Wisconsin to offer second chance Pell, and this program has now graduated over 200 students at MATC that are ready to go with the skills necessary to get the jobs upon release. And that's a great partnership between the Wisconsin Department of Corrections and also the U.S. Department of Education. This evening, at 6 o'clock, there will be a GED graduation, and that will be celebrating over 300 students who have earned their GEDs. Again, another opportunity to celebrate those that are completing a milestone in their educational path. And hopefully we'll be able to, will be part of at least what I'm going to say is that hopefully they will come and continue their education at the college and earn a credit credential. We will also be celebrating Martin Luther King Day on January 15th, and that will be here at the downtown campus. We're inviting employees, students, and community members to this celebration. It'll take place on Wednesday, January 15th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're very honored to welcome the Reverend Naomi Tutu, daughter of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, as a keynote speaker. And the event will feature performances and speakers reflecting Dr. King's vision of building a beloved community and reaffirming our commitment to equity, justice, and inclusion. I want to thank Michael Rogers and the DEI committee for organizing this very important event. I think we're going to get, it's maybe the first one we've had in a long time, or maybe the first one ever, I don't know, but nonetheless, it's a very important day to recognize Dr. King. And then we also have MATC's National Day of Racial Healing celebration will be held on Wednesday, January 22nd from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the downtown campus, room M605. The keynote address will be given by Dr. Joy Angela DeGrew, acclaimed researcher and educator, specializing in the intersections of racism, trauma, and healing. Dr. DeGrew is also the author of Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, which illuminates pathways to social justice and community resilience. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions?
One last thing before, I'm sorry, I didn't conclude. I just wanted to take a moment here and acknowledge Dr. Dakwar and Dr. Mannion for their many years of service to the college. I know that you both have really left a big mark here at the institution with, again, being thought leaders in your dedication to our students and making sure that you created a better place for everybody. So thank you both for your commitment and your dedication.
Any questions for Dr. Cruz from the directors online?
Yes, please.
Director Najib.
Are we allowed to question our president?
I think so. Gently.
Okay, that's a question. I'm curious. You had really, that's wonderful idea to have student listening sessions. So I'm just wondering, did you hear any complaint like what we heard today and last meeting too?
Based on what I heard, no, and that was not really the focus of those listening sessions. The listening sessions really were focused on kind of reflecting on the most recent elections, and also students may have had some issues or consternation about immigration and their status. So that's what the focus of those listening sessions were.
Do you think will be a good idea also to have listening session for other issues as a complaint, since you are the president?
Sure, there's multiple ways for students, and we've done some things like that, and we'll continue to have other types of listening sessions similar to these.
Okay, thank you. The other question, just quickly, are you sure Martin Luther King Day, it's going to be January 15th? That's a Wednesday, that's working day. Is that
Correct, because we are closed on the actual holiday. And we also wanted to make it where people would attend this event. There are a lot of conflicting events well, there are a lot of events happening around Martin Luther King Day. And we wanted to make sure that we would get the most, amount of people to actually show up here. So that's why we did it on that Wednesday. We figured it would be a day. We looked at the calendar, looked at other events that were happening in the community and didn't want to have a conflict with those community events. And we wanted to have as many people in attendance for our event here at MATC.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the directors online? Not seeing any. Thank you.
Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holiday.
I'm going to do the chairman's report next, and then we'll get back in the sequence in the agenda. I just two quick things about the graduation ceremony. We had 7 board members present and participating, and I want to thank you specifically and personally for doing that. I think it's really important. I think it's also one of the best things about the job is we get to see screaming families jumping up and down as their children cross the stage. I have a note here that the ceremony will be broadcast Saturday, January 11th at 10 a.m. on Milwaukee PBS Channel 36. That's my public television plug for the day. If you or anyone you know wasn't able to attend, I encourage you to watch it on PBS. I have talked at the previous meeting about a couple of things going on at the state level with regard to boardsmanship and professional development. The District Boards Association has organized 2 valuable events for members of the boards of the technical colleges, including all of our board members. On January 16th, there is, they call it a legislative seminar, but what it really is some training about issues of importance to the tech colleges, and then a visit with our elected representatives in the Assembly and the Senate that represent our area, and sometimes some that don't represent our area but are important because of the committees they serve on or positions within one of the political parties. It's an opportunity to meet with legislative officials. It's an opportunity to learn some things from them about how they actually perceive us and what we accomplish and don't, but also to tell them about things that are being considered, being proposed, that are of significant importance to the college system as a whole and to MATC in particular. These are accompanied. Laura, will you be? Yeah, Laura Bray will be accompanying any of our board members who go on these visits, and the training in advance is important and valuable. And so I encourage any of our board members that can do this to do it. I won't make you go every time, but I think it's important that enough of us go all the time. Second, separate event. If you're planning on doing these 2 events, you have to speak with Peter and he will register you separately and make whatever arrangements need to be made. But on January 17th, the National Association of Community College Trustees will be hosting a full-day Governance Leadership Institute in Madison, arranged by the DBA, specifically for DBA trustees, that's us, and tech college presidents. Oh, this is news to me. You are planning to attend.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. I am planning to attend. I believe Dr. Najib will attend virtually. I don't know if anyone else thinks they are registered, but if you do, you better check with Peter. And if you aren't and want to be, please check with Peter and we'll get that done. Again, I have been to one of these in the past, which was focused on the Robert's Rules of Order and management of board of directors meetings for efficiency and expediency. And I won't claim to have put all of their lessons into effect, but it was helpful. Next is our treasurer's report.
Do you have one more for February? Isn't there one in February?
There is an event in February. Oh, it's on the back side here. No, that's not. I missed the back side here. Congratulations to Dr. Cruz on being selected by the Biz Times Media as one of the 275 most influential business leaders in Wisconsin. Wisconsin 275 is a year-long research initiative by the editors of Biz Times Milwaukee that highlights the most influential executives in different economic sectors of the state. I think they count the number of selfies published as a key indicator.
Oh, then I got it then. I'd be number one then.
Director Pence is referring to the National Legislative Summit, which is in February. I do not appear to have the details here. It's essentially the same kind of program, except that we're going up to Capitol Hill in DC to speak with our members of the House and Senate. There's always a question as to which member or members of the Senate we will be able to spend time with. We typically do see Senator Baldwin. We have sometimes met with Senator Johnson, losing the name. And sometimes, I think it was last year, actually, we met with the entire Tech College group from Wisconsin, met with Representative Gallagher. Left the meeting saying that he was being called to the principal's office and resigned from Congress a few days later. So it's always exciting to go. Now, treasurer's report.
I'll be really brief. We are working on board policy for the treasurer's position. I will have that next month. We are working on.
Just to be clear, that is a reworking of the things that are in our policies, saying what the job of the treasurer is. And there may be some things that we have to move to other positions, but we aren't there yet.
Right.
And the whole policy will probably go back to another committee, right?
I was only asked to do treasurer homework. So working a bit on with Sherry on a document that we can broadcast for the audit committee. The audit follow-up document that is a work. I asked if we could use as a working document between board reporting and the committee. I went through the board policies on the investment trust, the two investment trusts. They look, I think they're good. I don't know if we want to include that in a package next time and just take a look at them so everybody knows. And there's a charter for the internal audit committee that was drafted a long time ago. So.
Yeah, just to respond to that question, I think we're going to want to look at that group of policies as a group. And we'll probably see some things that make sense to move from here to there or do differently. So thank you for all that.
I found them all and have them in one thing to send. That. So
Excellent. Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Thank
Any questions for our treasurer? There being none, next we will go to the, did I miss somebody? No? Usually when you're laughing at me, I missed somebody or, taking a vote when none is required. So Warren Murphy, Student Senate Representative, is here again with us today.
Thank you, Chair Foley, Dr. Cruz, the board. I just wanted to start off by saying congratulations to all of our MATC grads. I know it was a great ceremony. I think watching them walk across the stage is motivating for everybody to accomplish our goals. In one of our previous meetings, I highlighted 3 MATC students that were going to have the privilege to pitch their ideas to the UN officials. I'm happy to return with an update. On December 4th, Elsa Marks, Apexa Prajapati, and myself visited the United Nations Foundation in New York City, and we pitched our creative solutions to 3 different UN officials, one being the the head of the UN's Women's Global Communication and Advocacy Team, that's Paloma, and then chief of the climate section at the UN department, that was Martina, and chief of education outreach, that's Jayashri. And between the 3 students, we had 2 solutions to present. One was a program to implement resources for immigrants, specifically child immigrants. and another focused on preventing wildfires and repurposing wildfire byproducts. It was really a cool experience, and we were really grateful for MATC helping us complete that. We had multiple end of the year events hosted by our student life offices. One worth noting was the Snowman Spectacular that was hosted by our student life coordinator over at Oak Creek. That's Margaret Flanagan. The event had more than 300 RSVPs and was an overwhelming success. And while it remains a couple months out, our student governments are looking forward to making the trip to Madison for our own Wisconsin Student Government Legislative Seminar, where they'll get a chance to meet with elected officials and advocate for community colleges in our agenda. And more local news, our DSA has formed a few subcommittees to workshop relevant issues and has multiple resolutions that we look forward to sharing with the administration in the coming weeks. And this semester, we've seen a great deal of active student organization partnerships through DSA. And we already have a few student organizations partnering with DSA to host events to start the spring semester. And that we look forward to carrying our momentum into the new year. Thank you all for your time and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Holiday.
Next is an annual report.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask our student senator to please include my office on this list when they come to visit in Madison.
Yes, sir.
Thank
How
you.
about the board members who are going up to meet with our representatives? Can we stop and see?
No, that's okay. Sure.
Report on Graham Leach Bliley FTC compliance by our Director of Information Security, Don Hespersak. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome.
Sir Foley, President Cruz, board members in person and online. I'm reporting on the Graham Leach Bliley Act. Colleges are required to, across the country, are required to better protect student financial information and includes an annual report to the College Board. We have deployed in the language of Graham Leach Bliley the appropriate assignments that were listed in the bullet points. It also requires an incident response plan. The college has had an established plan for a number of years. We are deploying both physical security controls as well as technical and electronic or digital controls to, again, continue to strive to protect that student financial data. Some of the components that are listed on slide 2, we are, of course, deploying endpoint detection and response. That would be for the detection of malware that may be embedded into financial data. We have also deployed a requirement to our Office of Financial Aid. When they boot their computers, they have to two-factor in. It is actually a welcoming security control that we have extended that to all computers for employees across the organization. Great for laptop users as well. And we've also deployed identity protection. This will analyze any traffic across the network for potential threats tied to identity theft. And obviously for financial crimes, that is nothing new. And then finally, we deploy a service called Privilege Access Manager, and that ensures that employees have the appropriate roles based on their needs in accessing this type of restricted data. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions in the room? Any questions from the directors online? I don't see any. I have a couple quick ones here. Graham Leach Bliley is one of my favorite statutes. Is the student's financial information accessible through the internet?
No, we have to have an employee on a college computer with their credentials logged into the system and able to access it.
Okay. Have there been any attempts to access and either export or damage our college data from an external source, say in the last year?
There are several attempts that are blocked on a daily basis. Sure, yes, that's just regrettably the nature of the internet today.
Well,
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
happy holidays.
Next, item 9, board monitoring, emerging leaders program. Michelle Wild, Director of Training Development Credentialing. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Wild, the Director of Training, Development, and Credentialing. I appreciate the opportunity to share awareness of a new program that we have, a relatively new program that we have at MATC to help support development and advancement to individuals looking to move into a supervisory role for the first time. I did prepare a video in advance that went into some detail about the program, but tonight I'll just give a few highlights. So again, the program itself is designed specifically to help people who want to move into a supervisory position but haven't done it before and therefore don't have the experience and to meet the minimum qualifications to get into a supervisory role. The program itself is a year-long experiential journey where they are exploring different facets of the supervisory role. It's combined with mentorship, a practicum for them to apply and practice transferable skills. And at the end, with successful completion, they receive an internal credential that allows them to apply and be eligible for frontline supervisory positions. And I'm happy to report we have already been posting positions with that equivalency language in them, so individuals know that that is an opportunity to use the experience that they've gained through the program. I do have, I shared in the video a lot about the program, including feedback, because we have a cohort that fully completed in October. We also have a second cohort that is in session, they just finished session 4 of the 12-month program. But tonight I do have 2 members who are in cohort 1, which would be an opportunity for you to hear from them about how this program has helped to support them in their development journey. So again, the purpose of this tonight is to build awareness. The program itself is really to help support employee retention, development, and internal promotion within the college, which also aligns with some of our PACE and initiatives, as well as the college as a whole in terms of staffing. So. I do, as I said, have 2 people from cohort 1, with your permission, if I'm able to bring them up. Do you want me to bring them up one at a time, or how would you like to?
However you'd like to.
Okay, I'll welcome both Peter Kotu and Dr. Donnie Bartley up to the table to share more about their experience as part of cohort 1. Peter is a retention coach here at the college, and Donnie is an instructor in our HVACR program. Yes, have a seat. I'll turn it over to Peter first.
Members of the board, Director Forley, Dr. Cruz, thanks for the opportunity. This program was amazing. I'm just gonna start by that. It provides us essential skills to lead the team. And I also got to share that one of the highlights for this program was Michelle by itself, because her
Obviously,
her
why she picked
ability-
you.
No, it is because her ability to like provide timely feedback and chunk the information so that we're able to pace ourselves and complete all the requirements was essential for our success. So I just do hope that hiring managers and hiring committees do take in consideration the skills that we learned and to promote within our within the MATC staff. We have a lot of great staff members here that have a lot to bring to the table. So, but again, the Emerging Leaders Program, amazing program, well developed, and I hope that the more staff members take advantage of this program. No.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Donnie Bartley, and I'm honored to be invited to share my experiences with the Emerging Leader Program with you. I would start by stating the Emerging Leaders Program is not only about grooming people for supervisory positions. Instead, it's developing leaders that positively impact the college on multiple fronts. I have gained invaluable leadership experience that I could not have conceived of prior to my journey. My most impactful takeaway was the concept of lateral leadership. We often think about leadership as being a top-down perspective and forget that it's something that we do every day. As faculty, we do not supervise others, and yet to garner change, one must lead. To lead by example, through servitude, to be transformative, are some of the styles that we model in everyday life. These are also appropriate and advantageous within MATC's cultural framework. As faculty, I've used lessons learned in the Emerging Leaders Program as a Blackboard liaison, department chair, co-facilitator for the 21st Century Classroom Committee, as a member of the Hispanic Serving Institute Committee, with my community and industry partners, as a mentor, and most importantly, in the classroom impacting our students, our future leaders in the community. I posit the Emerging Leaders Program has only scratched the surface of what and how it will impact MATC. This was a year-long journey, and yet it did not end. The formality of the program has ended for me, but the experiences live on. Dr. Cruz, you shared your view on the importance of culture at MATC with us. The Emerging Leader Program stands as a powerful tool that can grow leadership from within, positively impacting MATC culture for generations to come. It is my hope for the Emerging Leaders Program to continue for many years. I am grateful to Michelle, to my mentors, and Dave, and Becky is not here, and my fellow cohort members. This truly was a life-changing experience. Thank you.
Thank you both. That was terrific. And thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. I do just want to mention, I know earlier there was a question about Build Your Professional Brand, which is also one of our Leadership Academy programs. So if there are questions about either program, I'm happy to answer those.
Well, can you tell us
About
very briefly what it's about?
So Build Your Professional Brand is another one of the Leadership Academy programs, and both that and Emerging Leaders are really designed to help people promote just in different ways. So Build Your Professional Brand is open to any employee of the college who wants to promote or change roles. And really the reason for that program is we've seen through feedback from our committees, as well as our hiring managers, that for some reason, when our internal applicants are applying and interviewing, they're really not sharing enough for us to see why they're qualified. And in an interview, they aren't really shining. They are providing answers that are very vague and things that prevent them from scoring well in the interview process. And so one of the things that program is designed to do, and you mentioned that it's resume building, how to fill out your application, there's interview skills and practicing that. It really is designed for them to be successful applying and getting selected internally. There's nothing to prevent them from doing that external, just like Emerging Leaders. It is a retention strategy, but they could certainly choose to go elsewhere. But we do believe that the program provides those essentials that help people shine and really articulate why they should be selected in a way that they haven't been doing successfully up until this point. So that's the purpose of that program, if that's helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's cool.
Next is item 9B, review of the board self-evaluation. I think, given that everyone is longevity on the board now, you've all seen this before. And so the only question is, do we have any thoughts about whether we want to change the instrument before we use it in a couple of months? Any thoughts in the room? Any thoughts from the directors online? Anyone still alive on the board for this discussion? Okay, let's do this. Yeah. So if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, suggestions, why don't you send them to me at least a week before our next board meeting, and we'll take them up at that time. If not, if I don't receive it in advance, it won't be on the agenda. And so we'll go on from there. Items of new business that we would like to have on the agenda in the future. Director Burris, I think you had something. Don't see that you're there. Okay, well, again, you can send those to me and ask that things be put on the agenda, and that's probably a preferred way to do it. Director Baker?
So when I was reading over the board self-evaluation instrument, it struck me that I would love to know about retreats that we as a board are going to be doing, because I think some of the items in there speak to the board having a little deeper understanding of some different things. So,
Okay,
and whether that doesn't have to come forward as a board agenda item, but I throw it out there as new business for the chair to consider.
thank you.
Well,
The chair will consider. Director Pence?
Just like.
Okay,
it's the second time you've just laughed.
yeah, I know, but that's why I'm here.
You could take a welding class for it.
Okay, having learned my lesson during COVID, not to ask for a motion to adjourn, I am going to say that absent objection, the chair will adjourn. Any objections?
Objection.
We are adjourned.
And we finished by.
Late.
So GD, here we go.
I'm gonna go to.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going.
Oh, you had a action-packed week. You had graduated, spoke at our commencement.